All right, let's see if we got Brandon here. I'm excited about this. This is so good. And I do want to say, we don't want to be worrying about anything, right? We just want to lift people up. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Oh, wonderful. I've been talking about you and lifting you up.
Perfect.
I'm so glad to have you on this live show. Again, what I do is I record you and I make sure that we, promote you in every platform that we have out there because this is good detail and dialogue. And I just want to let everyone know who you are. So I will say this awesome guest that I have here on Ruby Red Live he's a psychotherapist. He's a wonderful father
Thank
and
you.
husband, but I do want to say his profession is he's a professor, he's an author, he does podcasts. So we're gonna lift him up tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Brandon, how are you doing? Did you have a great day?
I had a pretty good day. Yes, I have all those titles. They all keep me busy, but it's all labors of love. So it doesn't always feel like work. It does sometimes, but I'm doing well. Today's been a pretty good day.
Awesome. Well, we're going to dig right in. We've got lots to talk about tonight. The first question that I had, I want to know, we're on Ruby Red Dialogues, and the first question is, can you share with us in detail about your work in the community and what you have to offer?
Absolutely. So for the most part, I am known for doing work on around trauma, historical trauma, intergenerational trauma, and racial trauma. And for me, the trauma work is both professional and personal. So it's personal because I always joke and say, I grew up in a household full of trauma and drama. And unfortunately, the trauma and drama that I experienced was domestic violence. So, one time is more than enough, but I've seen way more than one time. Seen all types of domestic violence as a kid. And, growing up, when you see it so often, it doesn't feel good, but it becomes normalized. And one of the things that I try to do as I grew up is help people understand that violence inside of homes, arguments, and those types of things doesn't have to be normalized. Disagreements, sure, absolutely. You're going to disagree. We're humans, we're going to have conflict. But violence doesn't necessarily have to be a part of the household unless you are defending yourself or defending your household. That's one of the only ways for violence to be there. But otherwise, children don't need to grow up in those environments, and neither do the adults. They don't need to be in those environments. So growing up, I'm originally from St. Paul, Minnesota, born and raised. Yeah, Twin Cities for sure. It's funny when I used to say that. I used to always say that people don't think we got black people up here, but unfortunately, after Philando Castile and then George Floyd, of course, last year, people now know, yep,
Yeah.
black folks is in the Twin Cities. And it's an interesting dynamic being here from the Twin Cities, which is a traumatic experience in itself. We'll get into that a little bit later. But growing up, I've always knew that there needed to be something different for me. Like I don't need to be in this situation. I don't need to be feeling the ways that I feel. I probably was depressed through most of my teenage years. Didn't
Wow.
realize it. Now that I'm clinically trained, I could definitely look and say, okay, I was meeting a lot of those criteria back in that time. But I was able to channel my anger and my frustration through football. So I played football. To be honest with you, people probably would thought I was an athlete, but I was more of a nerd. I was the kid who liked documentary films. I like to read, even though I wasn't the best reader at the time. I love to try to force myself through those words and learn those big words and learn about history and things like that. But I had enough athletic ability to kind of shield my nerdiness because I didn't want people picking on me. And unfortunately, in our community, when you're smart, people mess with you for being smart or quote unquote different, right? So I see a lot of young black kids that I've been therapists for, even in mentoring, and they like things like anime, and they don't want people to know that type of stuff because they get picked on. So I didn't fit the mold, but I had to try to fit the mold to avoid being picked on and avoid that trauma happening outside of the home. So me being athletically gifted and being good at football, I was actually recruited pretty early to play college football. So I had enough talent to kind of keep me going. And that talent helped me get to the University of Minnesota. Now, I didn't play college football. I went on academic scholarship because my team got really bad in high school and the scouts stopped coming. And I had a big head. So I'm like, I'm good enough to go to the league. And the league wasn't going to be an option because the football scholarships I did get offered were for schools that are called Division III schools. And most people, you got to be like really, really good to make it to the NFL from a Division III school. So, and I was just like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for academic scholarship. Went to the University of Minnesota. Originally went to school to be a dentist. Almost flunked out. First
Wow.
generation college student. I was lying, telling people I was on the football team when I wasn't. Um, and
Trying
really,
to keep that status up,
oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah, all this is black male identity trauma stuff. We'll get into this because me not being who I was and me being what I thought other people wanted me to be was really keeping me down, and it wasn't allowing me to develop and be the person that I truly was because I was just trying to meet a standard for what I thought society wanted me to be. And I see this happen with so many of us, especially young black folks, just period, male, female, transgender, whatever the case may be, trying to fit into a box that you might not necessarily want to be in, and it starts to bring us down emotionally and mentally, and then we get ourselves into addiction and things of that nature. I was fortunate enough not to get into addiction, but I still had a lot of stress growing up, and developing, being a black male on a predominantly white campus, dealing with all what that means.
Wow.
Being on a big time university that's heavy on research, coming from a public school, like that puts a lot on you, especially when you have not had any reference for how to do it. So my parents didn't go to college. My mom went to college later, but during that time she didn't go, so I was figuring out everything on my own. Literally, the way I got into college was forging her signature to the point where our signatures are almost the same signature now because I learned how to do it so well over time. So I was really just in survival mode, moving forward, trying to get to the next level. So fast forward through
Well,
that.
a lot about you tonight.
Yeah.
I do
but
want to ask though, as far because you
yeah,
did mention as far as the black community, how do you as a black man see yourself working to impact? Because we're talking about trying to change some things instead of always just discussing what's going on in the communities. We want to know how we can change. What are the solutions? So for all of our viewers, we want to know as a black man, how does your work impact the community up in the Metroplex?
absolutely. I think it impacts it in a couple different ways. One of the main ways it impacts it is being a role model. Being a role model and doing things that are not causing harm, and countering the narratives to what black men are or who black men should be is one of the biggest things that I do, and that's just indirectly. So seeing a black man as a nurturer, I'm in the mental health world. There ain't a lot of black people in this space, period, but there's definitely a lot of black men. So I'm pretty much like a unicorn. So when I show up, it's a different type of dynamic because I'm not a coach. I'm not yelling at you. I'm not telling you to pull your pants up. I'm not telling you to, pull your shirt down and stop showing your belly to the young ladies, or, put some longer pants on. That's not my job. Yeah. That's not my job. My job is to say, okay, what's happening, listening to you, understand who you are, what's going on, and how can I help you? Okay, why is your mom talking to you like that? Why haven't you seen your dad? Why is your grandma always trying to push you to do this and that? And then help you understand what's going on, help you move forward. So as a black man doing that, it counters the narrative, because what do we hear about black men? We don't care, we're absent, we're angry, we're no good. All these things is the narratives that we have. So just by being a black man in space, showing up, being present, assisting, it counters that narrative. So it gives hope to young black men that they can do something different, and also gives hope to young black women that all black men aren't just trying to get in my pants or get something from it. And that's very, very important. So the work, like I said, the work that I do is very personal and professional, because the other end of it is I do this for my children and other children. Because if I don't do this, then I have misrepresented the community and I've done something wrong. I'm a father. I have 2 daughters at the moment. I'll probably have more kids as I go. And right now, it's to make sure that they have opportunities to have a healthy community that's better than the one that I have. So I have a duty not just to my own children, but the children around them as well.
Well, that is great. That is awesome detail. And you talked about George Floyd too. And I
Yeah.
want, with all that is going on with the killing and all the other racial disparities, do you see Black progress in these communities? I mean, it just seems like there's just such a standstill. And that's why I believe that I have been called to do this work here. It's not about me, it's about I want to lift up our communities. I want people to see this. We're doing things. We're actually, we have great, leaders. We have Black excellence in our communities from the bottom to the top. Black excellent mothers, Black excellent fathers. So my question to you is, do you see progress?
I do and I don't. I do and I don't. So one of the beautiful things that happened after, not even after, during the week of the protesting, the rioting, and looting. So folks remember George Floyd was killed on a Monday. The video circled around on a Tuesday, and by Wednesday the protesting was up. It was happening. But Thursday is when the rioting and the looting started, and it went off like a wildfire, and it went on for about 2 days. But come that Saturday morning, what I seen was something beautiful from the community. I seen folks grassroots organizing, stepping up in the community, collecting Pampers, food, toilet tissue, all these in the middle of a pandemic, mind you, helping people get their prescriptions. Because one thing that doesn't get talked about is the Target that everybody's seen go up in smoke, the Cub Foods that was right there, the auto zone, all that stuff was in an area that was a shopping center. A lot of those folks in that community relied on those places to live. And there was so much trauma going on during that time. You got choppers from the news and the police. You got things on fire. It's smoky. People could not get their, grandmothers couldn't get their prescriptions. People can get their basic needs. So the community stepped in and started to gather those things, and they set up organizing for people to get the things that they need to move forward. Mind you, we're still in the midst of a pandemic, so people were already having food issues as it is. So I've seen a lot of beautifulness coming from Black folks on the ground that helped organize during that time and continue to support as they move forward. But like I said, so there's been help, there's been good things. But then on the flip side, I've seen crime go up. There was just a major shooting that happened today that my aunt witnessed, unfortunately. And it's just like, I don't know if it's a combination of all the trauma that we've already had, plus the pandemic, but the violence has went up. Now, you would think that there would be more of a coming together after such a big event like George Floyd. But unfortunately, here in the Twin Cities, what we've seen is a lot of the shootings increase and the murders increase, and then even things like carjacking. So we're starting to see a interesting dynamic of frustration and trauma that's starting to lead to more harm being done in the community.
Wow. And then we're talking Black on Black crime situations. So yeah. I do want to know, I believe African Americans, Black population in America has decreased because of a lot of different reasons, right?
Yeah.
Have a lot of things going on. And at 13%, do you feel that a lot of Black men, are facing certain dynamics such as, mental health issues and in the communities where the families are being broken up and there's just not a lot of strength in our communities? What are your thoughts there?
I don't want to say there's not a lot of strength in our community, because I think there is strength. I think it's misguided. And yes, Black men are struggling with our mental and our emotional health, and I separate those two things. Now, when it comes to mental health, people often think that it's the fact that Black men, we don't express ourselves and we don't have Black boy joy and we're not emotional. That's not necessarily mental health. Mental health is like, having a major depression, or you're having a generalized anxiety disorder, or you might be schizophrenic. That's mental health. The emotional health needs, the social and emotional intelligence is one of the things that combat that. But the emotional health needs of Black men is where we really struggle. One of the things that unfortunately has happened, I would say, at least for the last 40 to 45 years in our community, is we have not allowed Black boys to be Black boys. Black boys have been adultified and have had to grow up so soon, so quickly, that they have not been able to have a normal quote-unquote childhood and have unfortunately had what we call arrested development. Now, arrested development is a psychological concept that means that at the point of time of a traumatic impact, what ends up happening is people can get emotionally stunted in a particular age range. So think about this. At 4, 5, 6 years old, a young boy has a temper tantrum. It's cute. Oh, little man, you so mad. Like, it's going to be okay. Toughen up, man. Stop crying. It's going to be fine. But that boy who develops with that arrested development, that stunted emotional maturity, when they get 16, 17, 18, and they throw a temper tantrum like they were 6 years old, people get hurt or people die.
True.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
We have young men and some older men too, we're going to be honest, who have the emotional maturity of children or adolescents. Does that mean that they're brain damaged? No. That means that we haven't developed to a place where we can actually deal with our stuff. And we have to be able to cultivate environments for black men to talk about things and not shame each other as black men and black women shaming men for having emotional expressions. It's okay to express yourself. You're supposed to. Black men are not beasts. Black men are not robots. We are human. And when you take the humanity away from us, when we take the humanity away from each other, then that's what the response will be. So yes, do we have emotional health issues? Absolutely. But then yeah, there are some black men who do have mental health issues, especially black men who come from incarceration, where that is not normal to be incarcerated. But in our community, it's been such a normalized thing that is celebrated that some black men feel more comfortable going to jail and coming out than being out, period. And that's a sad truth that happens a lot. And you're starting to see a spillover from prison culture and incarceration culture in the community. And when that happens, now you start to act like you're confined all the time, and that leads to serious sustained mental illness. In most major metropolitan cities, black men have the worst, if you break it down by ethnicity and race, or gender, what ends up happening is you'll see black men are the highest in homelessness. Black men are some of the highest in unemployment. We have some of the worst educational attainment, economic placement. Like, we are in a bad position as black men overall, and we have to be mindful that it's not just mental health that's doing it. There's other systematic things that are happening as well.
That's true. I think that is very true. And, as a black woman, just single black woman out here, it is difficult. I mean, there's a lot of gaps that we need to bridge. And I believe that these types of conversations, it's hard. People don't want to think about their mental health or their emotional health because everybody's fine. We're spending money, we're living our best life, and all of this. But from a cultural standpoint, we can't let America dictate what's going on with us. We have to come into our communities, build our businesses, build our black, families up, and start letting the America see how strong we are. Because I love the fact that you said we're strong. We are strong.
Absolutely.
And I love, the fact that you brought it in. And I want us to, in this segment, again, it's all about fixing things. Trying to really get together as a black community and fix some things, not just talk about what's going on, like you said, the shooting. What if we fix those types of concerns, because it always happens when there's something going on, like a George Floyd incident. Don't you feel like every time something goes down in the community, that's a big light for us to be seen in America? Here they come messing up our communities and making us look terrible.
Absolutely.
The whole segment for our American culture. And we need to, like I said, bring that black culture to the strength that it is and show people out here. That's why this Ruby Red Dialogues is here. It's to show people, even in any forum, what it's about. So I do want to ask you, since we're on our final question, share us more about your ventures and how you're going to, help bridge these gaps. What are your new ventures, and, how can we get your products?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I had to do, and this was a very tough decision, is I had to look at the mental health world. I said, we have this concept of stigma in mental health, which I think that there's some pieces to that. It's not just that black people are scared of mental health. No, it's because it's expensive. It's because some insurances that we have don't cover mental health. We don't have enough providers. We have historical trauma around the medical system because we have been hurt by psychiatrists, medical doctors, and other people. So it's not just the fact that we have stigma. There are things that have happened that have led us to here. But another factor in that is we've always seen ourselves as strong in the struggle, and we've always just kind of toughed it out and went through it, whether that was through spirituality or grandma who was playing the social worker or your aunties and your uncle who took you in. We've always had these communal things to help us make it through and keep pushing. but our community has struggled over the last 30 years where those resources, those community assets that we have started to kind of diminish, because grandma can take you in for a summer or two, but when grandma's taking you in for 6 years, grandma getting older, that's a different type of stuff. That's a different type of atmosphere and the thing that ends up happening. So for us, so knowing this, I said, okay, getting people to come in and sit on the couch is not easy. I got to take the therapy to them, right? I have to give them this. Where are people at? People are on YouTube. People are on Facebook. People are on Instagram. People are on TikTok. And I encourage all the folks who are listening to this who have a message, even if you don't feel like you have all the the degrees and licensures, share, because that's where everybody's at. Share, because this is therapy. This is healing. Healing doesn't have to come by people who have letters after their name or in front of their name.
Right.
Healing comes from people who give a damn and care about us and our future. That's where healing starts. Now, for me, what I've been doing is I've been producing more content on YouTube and Facebook. I go live almost every week and I talk about a psychological concept, and I bring people on. People come on and they start talking and sharing, and it's almost like healing happening, right? It's almost like a live therapy group that takes place.
Yes.
So I do that on YouTube. So I invite people to check out my YouTube channel. You can just type in Brandon Jones and then Jegna, which is Jegna, and you can find me. And you can find some of the previous videos that we've had. And I'm actually working with a few other Black folks where we're producing like a little small podcast series that just share just constructive information about what's going on. Also on my website, I have courses. They're extremely affordable. I don't price anything over $15, but you can definitely get those things as well. I have a course on sustaining ourselves during the pandemic. That's $1. You can get that. So last year when the pandemic hit, literally we're on our anniversary of when everything shut down, I had an overwhelming response. Brandon, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. My job just cut my hours. I don't know if I'm paying my rent. Help. And I couldn't help everybody. So what I did was I said, you know what? Let me sit down this weekend and put together a course. Let me sell it for $1. Because unfortunately, you have to put a price on it for people to actually do it.
Yeah.
I tried to give away free stuff for so long and nobody ever touched it. Put $1 on it, people watch it. So yeah, it's crazy. But that's the psychology of us as Americans and as consumers. That's how we work. So that's there. I have a course on self-mastery. So if you're somebody who's like, look, I really want to tap in and I want to be a better person, and you want to work on that personal development, and you might not want to go see an actual therapist, that's a great course for you. I have an audio book as well called Level Elite, which is another self-development piece. I'm big on self-development. I'm big on something called social emotional intelligence. And when it comes to therapeutic practice, I use a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, because for us, it's about connecting our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors and making sure those things are in line. Black people are not crazy.
Right.
Okay? That's something that I want to let us know for sure. In my career, I've probably seen anywhere between 2,400 to 3,000 clients. About 98% of them have been Black folks. And over and over and over, what ends up happening is a lot of my clients got what's called adjustment disorders. You probably have no idea what that means. What that means is you don't have a serious mental health issue, but you got some stuff going on. There's probably some stress and trauma, so that you're going to get an adjustment disorder, which to me means, as a clinician, means that my people are not crazy, but my people do need some help. So I try to bring that help in many different ways, whether that's through audio podcasts, videos, writing, whatever your flavor of media is. I try to give some constructive information to help lead you in a different direction.
Oh, I love that. So I appreciate you, really sharing all this. We will be posting all of this on our, like I said, on the different platforms, so that we can begin to start showing people that there is help and there is actually some resources out there that we're looking to, really bridge these gaps. Like I said, it's very, very important that we understand our communities are strong. Our Black communities do have life. Even though people, all they see is death and disconnection. And I really applaud you as a Black figure and giving us the opportunity to understand who we are, what we can do about the different challenges, and I want to say challenges and not struggles,
right,
that we face. And be able to understand that we have some outbreaks. The outbreaks
Absolutely.
aren't related to us. It's related to what's going on in America. And we can literally disassociate ourselves from those outbreaks. begin to
Yes.
lift up our Black businesses and begin to lift up our Black communities by doing, like you said, different podcasts of our own, putting
Right.
it out there, sharing with everyone, so that we can not be a statistic in a
Right.
negative way, but be a statistic that shows growth in our communities. I'm so
Absolutely.
excited. Do you have anything else to share? I'm so happy you joined me today.
Yeah.
Us
You
today.
know,
We actually have room.
absolutely. Feel free to go ahead and follow me here on IG. I'm going to start building more things here on on my Instagram. This is one of the platforms that I don't pay a lot of attention to. My wife is a lot better than me on Instagram, but I will be having more content here. And the last thing that I will want to just let people know is that healing is a journey. It is not a destination. And the way that we got here took literally over 400 years. The way that we can get out of this situation doesn't have to take that long, but we have to be intentional about it. And one of the things I hear so often in my work is people will say, I know things are going to change, but probably not my lifetime. That's not necessarily true. We can make the changes that we want to make right now if we push for them. Don't give up. You are not crazy. You have some stuff that's happened in your life, but that doesn't mean that it has to dictate how your life should be. So just keep that in mind.
Awesome. Well, again, I want to just thank you, Brandon Jones, for joining us tonight on Ruby Red Dialogues. And we will be just celebrating, like I said, the Black Excellence all month. If you have any, opportunities to share with me what you're doing out there, I might need to put $1 on it or $2 on it so that I'm selling it, but it's really about you. It's not about me. But just like he said, it's a mentality.
Yeah.
So it is a free offering. Drop a line in my DM. If you have someone that would like to be on the show, drop a line on my DM. I appreciate it. And again, y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Brandon.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank y'all. Take care. Much love.